Hi guys, today we're talking about What's My Rule tables, your learning targets. I can use rules to complete What's My Rule tables. I can use words and symbols to describe and write rules for functions. All right, so let's go ahead and get started right away today. You have likely seen these before, and this is what they look like. They're called What's My Rule tables with a function machine. I like to call the function machine, this part over here, a number muncher, because what happens is you put a number into the machine and the rule makes it change into a different number that spits it out, and then you put it in the out column. So the in and out numbers are related by what the rule says to do. This is the table, this is the function machine. And there's a couple different types that we'll talk about later, but let's look at a basic one pretty quick. So this is your basic What's My Rule table with the function machine. And our rule today, for this table at least, is that you are going to add 6 to any number that is dropped into the machine. So if I were to take the number 2 and drop it into my machine, the rule is going to add 6 to it. So what happens is the number 8 comes out because we've added 6 onto 2, and we are going to put the number 8 in the out column. So this middle line here in the table, I like to think of that as being like the rule book. What is happening between the in and the out? And some of these get to be pretty tricky, so you have to kind of use your math knowledge to figure out what is going on to get from the in to the out, and sometimes from the out to the in, all right? So here our input is 2, the rule is we added 6, and our output is 8. So this is a basic type of What's My Rule table where you are doing just that to the numbers. The rule and the sample inputs, we both know them. Now we have to find the outputs. So for example, if we try this one again, we're going to put the number 30 into the machine, and now we're going to subtract 15. I like to always show my work when I do these. So 30 minus 15. You can't do 5 from 0, so you need to borrow. 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5, 2 minus 1 is 1. So my output would be 15. I put in the number 30, the rule is take away 15, and you spit out the number 15. So 30 minus 15 is 15. The next one is a little bit trickier. Here we know the rule, which is add 100, and we also know the outputs. But this time, we don't know what number is going in. So it's actually kind of backwards now. It's like we're putting the out number down here, and we can work backwards to figure out what number we're going to put in, or you can do this another way too, where you know the rule is to add 100. So I might write something like this. If I don't know the number that's going in, I might write in plus 100 equals 350, because I know we're ending up with 350. I know we have to add 100, but I don't know what's going in. So something plus 100 is going to get me 350. Well, if I think to myself, what number plus 100 gets me to 350? I know that 250 plus 100 will get me to 350. So I'm doing addition in my head. I could also do this backwards though. I could do 350 minus 100 is 250. So if you have an output, sometimes you can do the opposite of the rule to get the in, but then always check your work. So these you kind of have to think backwards a little bit. The next one, we know the inputs and the outputs, but we don't know the rule. We have to figure that out. Before I mentioned how I like to use this middle line as kind of the rule book of what happens between the input and the output. And in the table, all of these numbers are going to be related by the same rule. So you're not going to have a different rule between each row. So therefore, you can try a rule out with the first set of numbers and try it then on the second pair and the third pair to see if it makes sense. For example, how am I going to get to the number 49 from the number 7? Well, one of my options is, I know the 49 is definitely bigger, so I have a bigger number coming out and a smaller number going in. I could try, let's see, I could try adding on 42. So let's see if my rule of 42 would work for the next one. And that doesn't work because my output should be 44 and it's only 14. So that didn't work very well. So I know that it has to be something else. Well, I also know my multiplication and division facts. And I know that 7 times 7 is 49. So if my rule, I think, might be times 7, let's see what happens if I stick the number 2 into the machine. What would come out? 2 times 7 would be 14. And that, in fact, is our output. So our rule right here is times 7. You can check that with the rest of the table. A fourth rule is a little bit trickier, and you really got to use your noggin for this one. We know some of the inputs, and we know some of the outputs, but we don't know some of the outputs, and we even have a space to make our own on the bottom here. So in this case, we have to find both the rule and some of the missing inputs and outputs. Now, in order to do these, when you are missing the rule and you're missing some outputs and inputs, what is helpful to do is to look for the ones that are filled in both the input and output. And these are what you're going to use to help you find the rule and then find the missing in out. So for these, look for the ones that are filled in first, and then second, find the rule, and then third, find the missing in, oops, that should be out. Well, that's just messy. Let's rewrite that. So once again, find the ones that are filled in first, second, find the rule, and then third, find the missing in and out. Same thing here. You have to ask yourself, how are you going from the number 54 to the number 9? If you were to stick the 54 in the function machine or the number muncher, the number 9 is going to come out. Lucky for you, Mrs. MacPhail knows her division facts. And I know, oops, that's not right. I know that 54 divided by some number is going to get me 9. 54 divided by 6 is going to be 9. So right here, this is our rule. And let's check it in our other problem. 24 divided by 6, is going to equal 4. So that would be correct. 24 would go into the machine, the number muncher would divide it by 6, and out would come the number 4. So let's try it for the other ones. 42 divided by 6 is 7. And this time we have to ask ourselves, what number divided by 6 is going to give us 100? You might know this. You might also want to work backwards. You know, the opposite of division is multiplication. So you could do 100 times 6 would give you 600. All right, that's all for today. Practice these, use your noggin, and go do some number munching. We'll see you later.